What is up, guys, and welcome back. And we're doing something a little different. We've got all the guys here that are part of Heroic, really been helping me in the background, and we're planning on kind of doing these videos, whether it's bi-weekly, monthly, something like that, giving you guys kind of a peek into, behind the curtain, seeing what's going on over here. We'll go around the room, introduce ourselves. I'll start with you, Matt. What's been going on, man? Tell them about yourself.
Hey, I'm Matt. I'm also I'm going by Matty Inks. I was known as Misplay Matt, and I felt like that was a little self-deprecating. So we're going with a new angle now. But yeah, I'm over at Additional Ink, and we've been working really hard to start putting out some multiplayer content and some heroic content, along with like just general 1v1 play as well. So. If you're interested in in-person gameplay, come check us out. And I am super happy to be here with everybody. This is a super exciting venture we're starting up. So
Absolutely. And joined with us also is Lady Brittany. How you doing?
I'm excited. I'm very pumped. It's gonna be good.
So you got to have a lot of fun over at Gen Con. Well, I guess for myself, I'll introduce myself for a second. If you don't know, you're already on the channel. You've seen me a lot. Default Dan over here, bringing you that heroic stuff in Lorcana. But speaking of heroic, Lady Brittany, you were just at Gen Con. Myself and Matt, we didn't get to go. We wanted to so bad, but you were there. You got to speak to everybody, and you got to play heroic with all kinds of people while you're up there. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the experience, just in general, playing with all the different people out there, and just your, how it was.
So Gen Con for me is a normal thing because I am local to the Indy area. So I did not go to Gen Con for Lorcana initially. I've been going for 20 years. It is my favorite time of the year. And I played, I think, 6 games total of Heroic. Okay. The weekend was a blur. It's 4 days. It's the best 4 days of gaming. But let me tell you, it gets mushed up in your head. But I had a lot of fun. I got to play a really cool game with JDZ Quests and Kindle Hal. One of the artists of Lorcana. If you don't know, how do you not know him? Because he's the best. We got to play with him and Garrick, and then a couple of my local friends. I got to play with Judge Phil. That was also very, very fun. He's one of the more well-known judges for the Lorcana community. And then I also got to sit and play a really cool game with some of my friends at Ravensburger, and they all super loved it. And it was just very fun to watch the community watch us play and be like, hey, what are you doing? That looks different. Why are you playing with 3 colors? And me be like, hey, multiplayer. It's a fun thing. Come play Heroic. Do you want to learn? And then me teach people how to play all weekend. It was very fun.
Oh, that's awesome. So you had the judge there with you. Like, was he being like, hey, you can't do that. You're not playing this right or anything like that?
He had a blast. No, Phil is really great. I love him so much. I met him at Vegas, at the DLC of Vegas, and no, he had a blast and really enjoyed it and thought it was very fun. So it was good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how about you, Maddie? Any questions you got from the Gen Con experience from Brittany over there? Again, I know we're sad we didn't get to go.
Yeah. Some things didn't shake out personally to be able to go, but no, I think she did a great job, and just getting the format out there and seeing all those seeing all the devs and the content creators that seem really excited about it is really nice to see. I'm really happy about that. So great work.
Yeah, I think one of the best things that I've experienced, playing, in the local area and stuff like that, and I'm sure you got to see it, Brittany, as you were playing at Gen Con, was, the format, it may look a little daunting when you first see it, singleton, 3 colors, trying to make the decks and put them together with your storyboard and your main 97. But once you have those together and you sit down, like most of the rules outside of playing cards from your storyboard, it's basic Lorcana. You're going to 30 lore and everything else kind of flows the same way. And I know for your experience, you brought 8 or 9 different decks with you already pre-built so somebody could just grab one and go.
It was awful to carry. Let me tell you, my bag was so heavy because I had all of my heroic decks, and I had my 3 triple decks, and I had my husband's deck, and I was in so much pain.
Rolling suitcase.
That backpack was heavy, and my trade binder, and an empty box for the cards from our packs. Like, it was so heavy, but it was worth it. It was
Absolutely.
fine.
Was there any particular deck people like again they were borrowing your heroic decks in play. Was there any deck that like stood out that they really enjoyed or you got to see some awesome combo kind of going off that maybe they didn't even know about?
So my husband has built a deck with a storyboard where his main character is Ursula, Deceiver of All. His
Hmm.
ally is LeFou, the ruby one. I don't remember his tag where you
Yeah.
ready a character,
Mhm.
and then one jump ahead. And so on turn three, you play Ursula. And
Yep.
then on turn four, you double sing one jump ahead, put it back into your storyboard,
Hmm.
play LeFou for three, and then double sing one jump ahead again and go to 8 ink on
Yep.
turn four.
Mm-hmm.
And then your storyboard's done. He's perfectly happy and he's got all the ink in the world and is like skyrocketed, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I had somebody play that deck and they were like, this is dumb but very fun and I enjoy this a lot and now I need to build something similar.
Hmm.
And then the other deck that people really liked was puppies because it's very
Yep.
easy. Like it's you ink a puppy and you play a puppy and there's
Mm-hmm.
no thought, so they could just sit and like play and like learn. And
Yep.
so they really enjoyed that because they got to like see what the format was, but in a very accessible, easy way where they didn't
Yep.
really have to think about what their deck was doing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they liked puppies a lot too. And then everybody liked my princess deck because it was shiny.
Has
But I
so
didn't
many
let a
enchant. Yeah.
single person play that. Nobody touched that deck.
I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, when it comes to like easy decks and things like that, I think the puppy deck is definitely an easy, like almost like a starter deck
Mm-hmm.
if you're looking at it like a almost equivalent to like a precon deck that other formats and games have out there. Because to your point, 30 cards of that at a minimum are puppies, so you know what you can ink, you know how to kind of flow through it. I think microbots, an item deck is very similar where you can just kind of load up your microbots, considering you're supposed to only have singleton cards unless the card states otherwise. Microbots and puppies kind of give you that little bit of flexibility. So I also have recreated your puppies deck, and it's in my bag for anybody who sits down that wants to play. And it's easy enough to be like, oh, just try this one. It kind of plays
It's so
itself. It'll be
simple.
good.
Yeah. There's not a lot of thought to it, but it's part of why I built it. I built it selfishly because puppies are one of my favorite, but also with the intention of that's a here you can play this. And then I built
Hmm.
Jafar Wheel for the same reason. Everybody
Yep.
understands how Jafar Wheel works.
Yep.
Even if they don't play that deck and it's not something they play, they understand the concept.
Yeah.
So I built
Absolutely.
that in hyper aggro because it's also just turn left, play a card and go. Like just
Just exert
no
it,
thought.
get your lore,
Yeah.
and then make them deal with you. You got
Yes,
it.
exactly. So I built 3 decks with the intention of being able to just sit and play and
Yeah.
teach,
Yeah.
because I thought that was important.
Yep. And so again, with that playing, kind of going from Gen Con to local play and things like that, um, you know, Maddie, from your side, when you're playing, because I know you guys play in person and things like that, and
Yeah.
I believe you said sometimes you guys get together at the shops and stuff. Like, what does that look like? What kind of decks are you taking? What kind of decks you're seeing? How many people are showing up? That kind of stuff.
So we have one of our shops, and I'm going to shout them out here, Morningstar Games,
Hmm.
in Savannah. They are basically they're doing a casual night every Saturday, so
Hmm.
that's
Love
where
that.
Heroic has kind of found its home locally.
Yep.
And yeah, we get a good turnout. We get sometimes it might just be like 3 or 4 people, but sometimes
Yep.
we've had like 8 or 9. And it's slowly growing.
Yep.
I've also seen where there have been like off weeks, kind of like we're in right now, like in between set champs and new sets.
Hmm.
A lot of times League Night turns into Heroic Night because everyone's just kind of tired of playing core and
Hmm.
not really.
Hmm.
It's like, okay, well, we're through set champs, so like, why are we worrying about these cards that are, and especially
Yeah.
now that are rotating out, they can
They're gonna be
sit,
gone in a couple weeks.
they can just put them into their heroic decks and just have fun with them, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we've had some off and on play during league nights too, like when it's just not as busy. But I've been seeing some really cool stuff. I saw there was a hey hey. So the main character was Mufasa, ruler of Pride Rock.
Hmm.
Oh
And
yeah.
then Hey Hey was the ally. Hey Hey, what was it? Enlightened. what's it's something
It's
like
the blue steel,
the
sapphire steel,
yeah,
right?
yeah, the sapphire steel hey that ramps.
Mm-hmm.
And then part of your world was the song. So it was amber, sapphire, steel, and they just like we do everything in our power to remove Mufasa and be like, and he's back, and he's in my hand, and I pay 8, and I have way more ink than that, and it was oppressive, and I was very impressed with her deck. One of the local players at my shop.
Awesome.
That was probably the coolest one, and then right after that, we had a game that we played. And it was Clarabelle and Hey Hey, and I was like, oh yeah, I see the danger here. It was like woo woo woo, you know, like
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen some pretty cool stuff. I've seen some Merlin decks. My favorite right now, I actually converted the mono sapphire deck you've seen me play.
Okay.
And
So
I'm
what?
doing so I'm doing my main character is Scrooge Resourceful Miser, the one that
Okay.
you can exert 4 items to play him for free. And then my ally is the new Ruby Sapphire LeFou, the one that lets you banish an item and then chosen
gains a lore
opponent
for
gains a
each
lore
one,
or lose
yeah.
a lore and you gain a lore. And then the song is Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo.
Oh, you
So I can
are
blink
just...
Scrooge and look for more items to just play him for free later. So
Okay,
yeah,
Maddie.
it's pretty gross. I'm gonna have to play it when we do a stream sometime.
This week.
'Cause, yeah. It's a fun deck. That's my fun deck right now. But yeah,
That's
it's,
your fun deck?
that's
Or-
well, it's fun for me.
Oh.
I'm just getting items out. That's the dream.
Yeah. I like to see stuff that feels and looks broken, and then you kind of really see what that power level is. There's definitely a lot of really cool combos out there. Again, we've seen a lot of the Jafar decks. I've got my princess deck, which is much different than Lady Brittany's princess deck, where I'm actually comboing off in one turn to win off Cinderella and go the distance. Which is fun, and also we just got like a new Mulan spoiled that every time she quests you can look for princesses, so I may have to figure out how my other color becomes blue instead of steel. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool cards that are kind of being spoiled that I'm trying to feel like, all right, where does that slot in?
Princesses
To
is
these
going to be
decks.
so strong and Fabled. I cannot wait. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. That was my very first deck I ever built was Amber Sapphire Princesses in like set 2 when I very first started playing. And like,
Yeah.
I'm so excited for it to finally get love again. I cannot wait. Can't
Yeah.
wait.
And so, talking about like the local play and everything. So we've got up in Savannah, the Georgia area, we got that going on. Down here in the Tampa area, we're actually playing every other Tuesday over at Beach Boys. Shout out to them as well as the store that's supporting this, where we get to play. We get, on average, we usually always have 5 or 6, but typically we're getting closer to that 8, 9, 10 mark on those Tuesdays. So we can usually get 2 pods of 4, sometimes 3 pods of 3, or like a 4, a 3, and a 3, which has been a lot of fun. And again, we've seen anything from like Oswald items to there's a bodyguard, so the Mickey bodyguard shift, and that deck's pretty nasty that Tristan runs, where he's just shifting onto every Mickey he can possibly put in his deck.
Yep.
And again, some of the new cards coming out, maybe that 10 drop Mickey could see more play in these decks, but it's a lot of fun. And again, it's awesome because we have several stores in the area that are like interested. We've gone to a league night, only 6 or 7 people show up and are like, hey, why don't we just try heroic instead of paying $10-15 to get a promo. Let's just play some heroic here for free. So we've been doing that on some of the league nights as well, where it kind of turns into that. And then those stores are kind of considering doing like a heroic night for the month to see what happens and advertising that. But I know Brittany up there in Indy, in that whole area up there, you guys have a pretty big group of people playing heroic. So how's that going up there with your local scene?
So we have one store that plays on Sundays before league. So we all get there. Like the shop is technically closed, but the store owner is like, hey, you guys can come in early. I think they actually have changed their hours to open an hour earlier because of us. So they're probably officially open now. I don't actually know, but we play before league, and then we usually get anywhere between 8 to 12 people, so 2 or 3 pods,
Yeah, yeah.
depending on the week. Um, and that's very fun. I have a friend, Allie, who has a Musketeer Mickey deck that is also
Mhm.
just insane. It's all the bodyguards.
Yeah.
My friend Blake has a magical deck that he is constantly tinkering with, where he's like, I need this to be better. This is good, but I need it to be better. And is messing around with his storyboard constantly of like, what if I try this combo?
Mhm.
Um, my friend Mel has a princess deck that is also very different from my princess deck. Like
Mhm.
everybody has like they have one deck that's I'm here to win, and then they all have a deck that's this is just fun and thematic, and I wanted this to be just this fun, silly, wacky stuff that I don't
Mhm.
normally get to do because it's 3 colors. And so like everybody that I know that plays on Sundays has 2 decks. One
Yeah.
that's I'm taking this serious and y'all are going down, and nah, I'm just here for fun and vibes, and I don't care, right?
Yeah.
Like totally totally different. Um, so that's really fun. And then on Tuesday nights we play at Toy Buzz and Fizz where I run the league.
Mhm.
And we have both core constructed and heroic happening like simultaneously, and
Mhm.
people just rotate out. We're like we have a pot of 4 going at any time for heroic, and then like
Yeah.
whoever's wanting to play constructed plays core, and then they switch out and are like, hey, I want to play heroic now.
Mhm.
And then there's 2 different shops that run it on Wednesdays, one up on the north side of Indy and one about 40 minutes outside of Indy.
Mhm.
Um, and they run them casually like during their core as well.
Yeah.
Um, but are also doing like in the in between weeks where they're just like, hey, we're having a heroic night.
Mhm.
Um, so like there's at least those 4 that are like consistently doing stuff, and then we've had several shops that have just run it as a one off event that they're like, we're gonna do this once a set,
Yeah.
just for fun. And I also think that's totally fine. So we have a lot of
That's
people
cool.
that play.
Yeah, it's really cool to hear that because again, this is now we've talked about 3 different states. I know I had a shop a few months back reach out to me from Washington State that was thinking about doing a once a month night. I had another store reach out. I think it was Alabama, it may have been Arkansas, but one of those reached out to get the rules and stuff because they were considering doing something as like a little event as well, just to test it out. So it's exciting just because again, it's I know we've been playing it for a while. I know myself, I've been playing it for a year and a half at this point, with tweaking the rules and doing the things. And so like it's just fun to start to see it kind of grow and expand to all these different places. And again, it was awesome seeing you get to show it off at Gen Con. So hopefully DLCs, things like that, will be able to kind of if any of us are here or anybody watching these videos that play it, like let us know down below where you guys are playing it, at maybe a local shop in one of these other states, or even maybe in a local state, to one of us, and then let us know when you go to these DLCs, you go to the PPG events, you do CSS, any of these big events. Maybe you're showing up heroic, and maybe there's little pods going on there because that's just cool. We just want to hear it because we love to see the format expand and grow, and that really it takes us into kind of this whole thing of we really love the format, but we really wanted to make sure that it was like legit, right? So again, this is a format that's grown over the last year and a half. We've tweaked some changes based on what the community has told us. One of the big changes being the way the ink tax works, so that it happens when it returns to the storyboard instead of when it's cast. So like there's a lot of those little tweaks that we've gotten from the community. We wanted to make sure like, and if you guys watched the video last week, I kind of talked about this a little bit within that video, but as we kind of transition into this next topic, I wanted to kind of bring those things up because we wanted to make it easy for the community to, talk to us, tell us stuff, but also be a part. And so we've, officially came together. We talked about this to announce this, to have a rules committee and an advisory board that can really help solidify the format, keep up with the rules, make sure that we're listening to the community to understand what cards are maybe problematic, what cards need to be restricted or banned or different things like that. So I wanted to take the time a little bit during this conversation so we can talk about it. Just what they are. What are those two different things? What are their kind of responsibilities as we talk about that? Now, I'll kind of throw it to you, Maddie, first with the rules committee, because me and you, we're kind of the two leading up this rules committee, and then we're going to have a few more people joining us. And again, you guys definitely can be part about that. We'll talk about it in just a few of how you can. But why don't you tell us a little bit just about rules committee, what we're going to be doing there?
So basically, it's going to be our job to look at changes that need to be made in the format. That said, we're not going to be the ones proposing the changes. So we are solely here to make final decisions, and we are here to collaborate with the Rules Advisory Board. And the Rules Advisory Board is the entity that will bring the proposed changes to the committee, and then we decide on it. So you're not going to have me go, oh, you know what? I just don't like Diablo. So let's talk about restricting Diablo in Heroic. That's not how it's going to work. That's only going to happen if enough people in the community reach out through the board and get that proposed as something to discuss at a committee meeting.
Exactly.
For examination. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And
it's
that was
pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the one thing we were talking about. This is like we didn't want just one group, right, making all the decisions. Like prior to all of this, it was really just me, Prashan, Brad, from the Inkcast, kind of making all these decisions, right? And again, in a bubble when it was just us playing the format, that's fine. It works. We're making those decisions on the fly. As it grew into the community, we're getting a lot of feedback from the community about certain cards, about how they didn't like, again, going back to that ink tax piece, being like, well, now I have my song and my character and they cost the same, but my main character can't sing my song because once I cast her. So like there was things coming up where like, okay, it makes perfect sense. Because in a lot of our testing, we were using 3 or 4 cost songs with like 6 cost heroes, and we just didn't really run into that a lot. But then again, hearing from the community. So we wanted to make sure it wasn't just like one group of people making every single decision. So we also wanted to create this heroic advisory board that has a different function, and that function is going to be listening to the community, being the sounding board, but also that testing community, right? Of course, rules committee are also going to do some testing as they're going through, but we're not the ones that want to make that decision. We want to make sure that the rules committee is going, hey, this Ursula one jump ahead, whatever combo is way too strong and we have to do something about it. I honestly don't think it is, but again, those are conversations that will happen. And so with that being said, I talked to Brittany around this because she's so involved in the community. Again, huge proponent of heroic and getting the word out there like she did at Gen Con. So she's going to be kind of heading up that advisory board along with other members helping out. But I wanted to see, Brittany, if there's anything you kind of want to add of like your vision, your expectation around the advisory board and what you're looking forward to kind of doing and bringing to Heroic with that.
So my thought process with this is that we're basically the boots on the ground. So you go out and you play with your local community, and your local community says, hey, I would love for us to have 4 colors, for example, right? And then you're like, hey, that kind of sounds fun. Let's try it. And so you would bring that to the advisory board and be like, hey, what if we did 4 colors? Have we tried that? And then we spend like a couple weeks testing it, being like, that works, or no, we can't do that. This is why it doesn't work for balancing purposes or whatever. And so what's going to end up happening is the community comes to the advisory board, and then the advisory board gets together and then is like, okay, here's what we're going to propose to the rules committee for them to make a choice and decision on. And then we'll all test together, the advisory board tests, the rules committee tests, we're all just testing and making sure that stuff is still balanced so that this format is fun for everybody and accessible for everybody. And we're not doing something that isn't fun. So some of the restrictions we have put in place currently that we already have, Be Prepped or A Whole New World, is because constantly having Be Prepped on your storyboard and always access to it is just not fun for anybody at the table. Yep. So we've made those decisions already, for the sake of it being fun for everybody. And so the thought is we hear from the community, and then I go, hey guys, here's what the community's feeling and vibing with this set, and what works and what doesn't, and like, what do we want to do? And then the rules committee goes, hey, yeah, let's talk about it. And then we make decisions.
Mhm.
That's the plan,
Exactly.
is my understanding and goal. Like, this is the best for everybody involved.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's that whole working together to come up with that final decision. And when we talk about that, right, it isn't something where we're going to get something in and it's going to happen in 3 days, right? It's one of those things where we're going to be reviewing these things. It's going to take some time with testing, because you know, the person that's saying like, hey, this card feels broken, it may be one specific deck that's happening. It may be one specific player they're playing against. It feels so bad, and then we test it against 9 different decks. We test it multiple times, and then we come to the conclusion that, hey, that card, yes, it may be unfun feeling when it goes off. Like, let's give the example of hey, right? If somebody plays that on 5 and they add 8 ink because they have all these cards in their hand, that can feel pretty brutal. But we have to look at it from a bunch of different filters and lenses of like, is it, you know, bad enough? Is it non-fun enough? Is it broken in some way that we have to make that decision? And so it's going to take time to do all that testing and to get that together. So our plan for this is to essentially, as of now, right, this is a soft thing, but quarterly. So as sets start to rotate, we have this block of time, which currently we're in right this second, but in between set champs and the new set coming out, really that's the time we want to make changes to the format. We're prepping for the next set coming out. We're looking at how this last set did, and then we can make changes to the format. We can make changes to these 2 groups. So again, if you guys want to apply and you want to be involved in a part of this, there will be a link down in the description. So just make sure you click that, fill out the form, let us know what you're interested in. It's got a few questions on there for you to answer. And we're looking for people with all different experience too. I just want to throw that out. Like, it doesn't mean you have to be, you know, a person that's been playing Heroic for the last 6 months and you know every in and out of it. It doesn't mean that you have to have 10 years of experience of other card games like Magic or Commander or Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or whatever. We want to have a variety. Maybe the rules committee, we have somebody that has a little bit more experience or whatever. But the advisory board, we're looking for everybody. We're looking for the people that are just casual. They want to have fun. We're looking for competitive people. We want to have a mixture so that when decisions are made, it's a
Balance.
no, yeah, it's balanced and almost feels like it's the community. It's a snapshot of the community making the decision, not just, you know, one side or the other, competitive or super casual, right? We want a mix of everything. So
The other thing that's important with that is that the intention long term is that when that quarterly happens, that's also when we bring on a new person. Or if somebody's like, hey, life has happened and I need to take a step back for this set, you have the opportunity to do that. So, like, if you only want to do it temporarily for a set, that's completely okay. You don't have to be locked in for forever.
Yeah.
But, like, I would hope your intention would be to stay for a minute. But if you only wanted to do it for 3 months, quarterly is when we're going to do those changes across the board on both sides, on
Correct.
both the committee and the board. So, like, you don't have to be locked in for a year. You don't have to commit for a year. You could just commit for a little bit of time or however long you feel comfortable, which is really exciting. So I'm pretty pumped.
Absolutely. So kind of as we're talking about that, and we've talked about the rules committee a lot, and one thing I just wanted to dabble on a little bit is just the rules in general. So again, if you guys aren't part of the Discord, same thing. Link will be down in the description. We got 200 plus people hanging out in the Discord, chatting it up. The last 2 or 3 days, we've had a lot of people asking rule clarifications, things like that, which is awesome. Ask the questions. We got tons of people in there that can help you out with those. But I did want to kind of talk through just a few high-level stuff, and I'm sure we'll have more conversations like this on a more regular type podcast like this as we go forward. But I want to hit a few of them that we've been seeing a lot. And the first one I want to talk about is just verbiage, right? So again, as we kind of look through this, we have different labels for cards that are in your storyboard. Again, another verbiage, but also just like things that are coming up with like, what is a restriction? What's a ban? and stuff, different areas like that. But I want to throw it over to Maddie, and I want to start over on your side too, with verbiage and kind of what are some of those important things you feel like the community kind of needs to hear or understand when it comes to some of these words that we're going to be using when we talk about heroic, moving forward.
Yeah, I think the first one I'll tackle, restriction versus ban, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think when people hear about like rules committees and other card games, it's like this arbitrary group that just sits there and like bans card and says you can't play this card in this format, right? And at least I will say personally, and I think it's generally kind of the vibe from our conversations, the intent isn't to just outright ban cards. This is what we call an eternal format, which is a format in which you can play cards that have rotated out of like core in Disney Lorcana specifically. So like the point is we want you to be able to play with the cards that you can't play in other formats.
Right.
So we're never out to ban a card outright. What you will likely see from us are restrictions. And when I say a restriction, it's restricted from the storyboard. So when you hear, oh, B prep is like, because I know as of late, it's been like, oh yeah, B prep is banned. Well, from the storyboard. So what we're going to call it is a restriction. So Be Prepared is restricted from the storyboard. It can still be played in your 97.
Right.
Just to clarify, it's still legal in the format, just not in those 3 special slots.
Yeah. Which I think is super important to point out, because I know, again, I want to say it was a couple weeks ago or something, we were playing and somebody played a whole new world from their 97. They're like, oh, we can play that card? It's like, yes, you can play it in your 97. It just can't be something that you're literally going to make everybody discard their hand and eventually mill out when you're playing it every turn from the storyboard. Hence why it was restricted there. So
yeah,
love it.
Let's see the other thing we talked about eternal format, or like that was another verbiage thing we wanted to talk about. The ink tax.
Yeah.
So there are some rules around the ink tax that have been really confusing, and if you're cool with me just kind of delving into this.
Yeah, go for it.
So the ink tax is what we consider a modifier to the cost of the cards that are in your storyboard. It is only applied to cards being played from the storyboard. So, for example, if your main character is returned to your hand, and your main character normally costs 5, but your ink tax is 3, your main character costs 5 because you're playing it from your hand, not your storyboard. The ink tax modifier is just something to balance the accessibility of that card being available, basically just having the availability at all times. But if some game situation puts it in a different zone, so to speak, and you can play it from that zone, you get to play it for its original cost with no ink tax applied.
And another example of that would be if you have your main character or even your ally, right? They end up in your discard and you have Revive in hand and they cost 5 or less. It's kind of one of those ways you can kind of get around that ink tax because you can bring it back from discard and play it with that Revive. It's really, I think one of the things that kind of people get hung up on is like, especially around the song and the singing. When it comes to shift, I know this is one thing you had pointed out in the Discord. Shift is one of those card modifiers, but it's in the body of the card. So what I've tried to really focus in on is like when you're doing that ink tax modifier, you think about the number at the top left of the card. If it said 5, but your ink tax is 3, just imagine that says 8 instead of 5. So when you're playing it, it's going to cost 8 from your storyboard. And so this helps you when you're thinking about singing that song, right? So your song may be 3, but you have 3 ink tax. Just look at the song in your storyboard as kind of being 6 in the storyboard. So it kind of helps in that think of why can't I sing it because I'm doing that? Well, it's an 8. So as long as you have a singer 8 or a character that's 8 or above, they can sing it just fine. Whereas like shift is right there on the body. And I know, Maddie, you had talked about a couple other cards like Scrooge and things like that have that same type of feel because they're modifiers of the way you can play them are on the card.
Yeah, well, so like another nuance of the ink tax is that it modifies the original cost of the card. It doesn't modify the alternative cost on the card. So shift is an alternative cost. In the case of Scrooge McDuck, Resourceful Miser, exerting 4 items to play him for free is an alternative cost. So you're not getting taxed on that. It's only on the base original cost.
These are the things I just wanted to kind of dig into as we looked at kind of this first episode here. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of these moving forward, where we just kind of, again, peel back that curtain a little bit, let you guys see more of our thought process in here. We'll have other guests on as we build out this rules committee and this heroic advisory board. We'll have some more of those members jumping on these so you can meet more of those people. So like I said, if you're interested in being a part of that, you want to join in this, whatever level you are, there is a link down below. Fill out that form. We are going to keep the groups semi-small to start, and then we'll continue to build those out. So just again, keep in mind, if you don't get selected in this first round, doesn't mean 3 months from now or whatever, we don't pull more people in. We're trying to figure out what those numbers are going to look like between both the groups. But definitely, if you're interested at any level, make sure you fill out the form and join the Discord. Get involved, talk to us, as we're going through this. So we just want to, again, thank you guys for checking out the video. If you're, interested in playing the format, give it a shot. That's the biggest thing I would say is play it one time. Before you make your decisions on the format, play it one time, see what you think. But definitely hit the sub button, hit the like button, all that good stuff, because we will be putting out content regularly on this channel around Heroic, and you guys can stay up to date with it. But as we wrap up, we'll go back around the room, let everybody know where they can find you for your content or anything going on. We'll start with you, Maddie, and then go across.
Yeah, you can find me on my channel, Additional Ink on YouTube, and we're also at additional_ink on Instagram. And we are additional_ink on X. I believe one of those matches our Blue Sky account. I'll have to check with Jeff. I'm terrible with this kind of stuff.
Not a social media person. I just sit here.
Yeah. I'm very much a behind the scenes kind of guy typically, which is why I'm on the committee side as opposed to the rules advisory board side of this whole thing. But yeah, you can find us there, and if you like multiplayer, you'll definitely like our channel. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. How about you, Brittany? Where can they find you? What you got going on?
I'm Lady Brittany pretty much everywhere. I just made an Instagram because I didn't have one. So you can follow me on there now, I guess. I will be at the DLC in Milwaukee next. I think it's my next big thing. There's a tournament I'm going to in 2 weeks in Ohio. I'm not worried about y'all seeing me there. But I will be at Milwaukee, and I will be bringing all of my heroic decks. So if you do want to play soon-ish in person, you can see me at Milwaukee, and we can sit and play and have fun. And then outside of that, I don't know. You'll see me at the parks, I guess. I'm all over the place. I don't really have a spot.
No
I just
worries.
go where I go.
Yeah, and you can find her in the Discord, modding it up over there and keeping it all looking nice. Hopefully, pretty soon we're going to be updating some stuff over there.
It.
But yeah, and then as far as me, you guys can see me here. I'm on this channel, also over in the Discord. So if you have any questions about the format, anything like that, suggestions, thoughts, whatever, hit us up over in the Discord. We'd love to chat with everybody about it. And like I said, we'll be doing these pretty regularly. So appreciate you guys for watching.